this video, I show you how you can get a shallow depth of field using Flash in a small home studio. Hello, I'm Gavin Hoey and you're watching Adorama TV, brought to you by Adorama, the camera store that's got everything for us photographers, including a great range of lenses. And today I'm using the Olympus 25mm f1.2 lens. Now that means I can shoot amazing shallow depth of field portraits right here in my small home studio. Now I'm going to use Flash to light the portraits because I like the control it gives me. However, this Flash system, well, it doesn't support high-speed sync for my camera. And you'll often find this, camera and Flash combinations don't have high-speed sync, but you can still shoot at wide open apertures with a bit of planning. Now the planning starts with my camera settings. I'm in manual mode, fairly obviously, and then I'm going to go for an aperture of f1.2, extremely obviously. The smaller the number, the smaller the depth of field. Now I need to reduce the amount of ambient light that the camera sees, so that means using an ISO as low as it will go, 100 in my case, and then a shutter speed as fast as I can. Now that's going to be something called the Flash sync speed. Check out the Adorama Learning Center for more information about that, and it's 250th of a second on my camera. Except the Olympus EM5 Mark II secretly will actually shoot at 320th as a Flash sync speed, even though it's not in the manual. That's what I'm going to dial in. All of the rest of the pictures will have those exact settings. Right, let's get a model in, let's get shooting. Once again, I've been joined in the studio by Beth, who's going to be the model for this shoot, and you'll notice that we're missing something to begin with. We've got no lights here whatsoever, because the most important thing by far, if you're using Flash, is that you overpower the ambient. And shooting wide open with a fast lens like this, that's quite a challenging thing to do. So let's just take a shot with the ambient light and see what we get. Okay, Beth, here we go. Now remember, I'm shooting at the same settings as if I was shooting with Flash. Ideally, this should be a black image, but it's clearly not. And that's because the f1.2 aperture is sucking in so much of the ambient light, it's contaminating the image, and I'm losing control of the lighting in this shot. So first of all, check how much light contamination you've got, and the best thing to do is to shoot in a darkened room. Not completely dark, because of course your camera has to focus, but you might find you need to turn some of the lights down. Now obviously if we turn the lights down, you're not going to be able to see much of the video from now on, so the pictures you'll see will be with the lights turned down, but we'll keep shooting with the lights on. So for my first light, I've just got a small softbox, the glow softbox, and a small light source, just a speed light. Now the combination of a speed light, which produces a fair amount of light, and a softbox, which will soften and reduce the amount of light, could be perfect to hit the f1.2 aperture of this lens. Let's find out. Now, of course, this is down at its lowest possible setting, 1/128th of its full power. If I just take a meter reading from underneath Beth's chin, I'm actually getting f1.3, which is actually close enough. This will only do a third stops, and my f1.2 is a half a stop. So with that combination, that's absolutely perfect, and I can shoot away wide open f1.2. Let's take a shot. Here we go. And that works brilliantly. So there's a simple solution. Use a speed light and a small softbox. This time I've changed to my favourite light, my Streetlight 360, and I've got it in a slightly bigger glow softbox as well. However, the Streetlight 360 is enormously powerful compared to a standard speed light. Even right down at low 1/128th power, it's probably going to be too bright. But let's meter it and find out. So if I get my flash meter, I'm going to pop it underneath Beth's chin. I'm getting f2. Now that's as low as this goes. I cannot get that light any lower in power. Now there's a few things I could do. f2 is, well, it's way over a stop overexposed from f1.2 that I'll be shooting at. But let's have a little look and see whether it does look overexposed. Here we go, Beth. Yeah, it does. It's definitely overexposed. However, I'm shooting in RAW, so in theory I could actually pull this back a little bit in RAW. It's not really an ideal solution, but it is a solution. So what can I do about that? Well, there's a few things I could do. One of them is fairly simple. Move the light further away. The further away I move the light, the further the light travels and the lower the intensity of the light becomes. So I've just moved it back about a metre or so. Let's just take a test meter reading there. f1.3, that's close enough to my f1.2. So that should give me the correct exposure. Let's take a test shot and see how that goes. Here we go. Yeah, lovely. That works really well. So by moving the light back, I get the correct exposure and I can continue to shoot at f1.2. However, there are some problems when you do that. When you move the light further away, it's going to become a smaller light source relative to the size of the model. Therefore, it's a little bit harder. It's not too much of a problem here. But also, it changes the light that hits the background thanks to the inverse square law. Now, you can find out more about the inverse square law by checking out the Adorama Learning Center. And in this case, it's throwing perhaps too much light onto the background than I might want. So, is there another solution? Yes, there is. Think about this. If you went out on a really sunny day, you'd probably wear sunglasses. Well, we can actually give our cameras a pair of sunglasses, although I suppose technically it'd be a monocle because it's just one lens. This is a polarizing filter or a neutral density filter. And if I put this in front of my camera, it's going to reduce the amount of light that the camera sees. Now that's great because our flash is producing too much light. We can reduce it and get our target aperture by adding this to the combination. Now that means I can actually get my flash and move it much closer to my preferred position back here. It also means that when I meter the light, I have to meter through the neutral density or the polarizing filter. So what I need to do is to put the polarizing or neutral density filter over the light meter's dome and then test that. And it's going to read the light that's passing through the filter, and I'm back to f1.1. In fact, that's even a little bit too dark. I can add just a tiny bit more light and get back to my f1.2, 1.3. So that's great, that works really well. All I need to do is to remember to add this in front of the lens. Okay, let's try this. Here we go, Beth. And that looks really good. The polarizing filter or neutral density filter means that I can shoot away quite happily and get great results wide open. Now the really good news is this cuts down all light. It'll cut down the flash, but it'll also cut down the room ambient light as well. So if you are struggling to get the ambient contamination down, this is also a great solution. So I'm going to put these into practice by setting up a nice little shoot here and we'll get some great shots. Okay, you ready? Yeah. All right, let's do it. Right? Okay. Shooting shallow depth of field portraits in a small home studio does throw up a few technical challenges, but the results are well worth it and you open up a whole new world of photographic possibilities. In a future video, I'll give you some tips and tricks on how to maximize the shallow depth of field look. And of course, if you want to see that and the other amazing presenters right here on Adorama TV, you've got to click on the subscribe button. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a comment below. I'm Gavin Hoey. Thanks for watching.